Hey everyone, welcome to the Sustain the Range podcast. I'm Lauren, your host, and this podcast is a personal exploration of my experiences in everything ranching. From beef operations to training horses to sustainable farming and regenerative practices, we'll cover it all. Each episode features enlightening conversations with guests who bring their unique perspectives and expertise. Whether they're seasoned ranchers or first-generation farmers, we all share a common bond and deep appreciation for the land and the livestock we raise. Tune in each week for engaging discussions, inspiring stories, and practical insights from the ranching community, and let's embark on this incredible journey together. Hey everyone, so I hope everybody is having a great day or night wherever you are and wherever you're listening. I thought that I would do a little bit of an introduction episode, so for you guys to get to know a little bit more about me, my background, how I got here, why I'm so passionate about the world of agriculture, and just talk about a little bit more about what I hope for you, or what I hope that you guys get out of this. And we currently moved, so my partner, my boyfriend and I, we actually moved to a new spot. So I'm in a new recording location, and we're kind of in a little bit of a wildlife sanctuary. Actually, there's just a ton of birds. We're on a little bit of a pasture here, and we're overlooking our cows, which is really cool. So anyway, if you hear some birds chirping in the background, I hope that it's not too distracting. But anyway, so let's get into it. I started this podcast is agriculture is super important to me. And with this podcast, I hope to provide you all with some advice, some insights. I'm going to have some amazing guests on here to share their expertise from everything to animal husbandry to business management to all of the insights into the culture of ranching. And I really want to create a community of like-minded people who really share a passion for this industry and for sustainable practices that keep agriculture thriving. So anyway, I'll just give a little bit of background of myself. I grew up in New Hampshire. And I have always loved animals. I was always a kid that was outside. My mom could never get me inside. And I was always doing something, whether that was sitting at the pond, quote unquote, analyzing and keeping track of all the frogs that were on the pond to, just absolutely loving anything animals. I redid my room probably about every month with the new animal theme, anything from horses to dogs to dolphins to sea otters. I used to be really, really obsessed with dolphins and orcas, killer whales. So that was kind of my big thing when I was younger. So anyway, I've always just had a big heart for animals. I grew up in suburbia, so I did not grow up on a ranch, and I didn't grow up on a farm. But I was always, like I said, loving to be outside and always wanted to do stuff with my hands, always creating something. Fast forward a little bit, I went to school, graduated, or played sports all through my life, which kept me pretty busy. Played field hockey and softball in college, and then graduated college, got a job at a marketing firm, realized I hated every minute of being in an office. To me, it was like a prison cell. So I just knew, kind of within the first few months that being in an office wasn't really something that I wanted to do. Shortly after that, my mom passed away. She came down with a really bad stomach ache in about a month. And went into the doctors. They took some tests and said that everything came back fine. And then about a month later, we went back to the hospital and they found cancer. And 9 days later, she passed away. So it was really quick. My mom was my best friend. We had a very interesting relationship. We did not get along in high school at all, for very many years. We always just really butted heads. And then when I got to college, I realized that because we were so similar, and what I often refer to her as my soul person, we just had a very similar heart, a very similar soul, and I just feel like we were connected in a way that I don't think I'll ever be connected with anybody again, because I think that mother and daughter relationship is a bond that is so special. But she was my best friend, and after I lost my mom, which I never thought that I would, I was kind of living in that delusional world in some ways, where you just never think that somebody that you love like that is going to pass away. And my mom is a larger than life person. Everywhere she went, she was such a presence. She conducted a room. She was the life of the party. And she had her quirks. She had her negatives. She had her weaknesses too. So, but, yeah, she was just a larger than life person. So in my mind, it was almost like, yeah, I know she's going to die, but how can, there's no way. I still have so much more time with her, and then my worst fear happened. So after that, my world really changed. My priorities changed. My outlook on life changed. And it was, of course, a life-changing event. Something that I still struggle with and I still grieve over. And for anybody that's lost a parent or, a loved one in that way, I don't think that you ever get over it. And I don't think that there's ever a moment throughout the days where you kind of move past the grief. I think you just come to live with it every day. And when those moments come up, when you feel really sad or when you feel like you're really missing that person, you just come up with a better way to navigate those moments. So anyway, I just kind of went on this quest of starting to rebuild my life after she passed away, because she was just someone that I went to for everything. And it was a really hard time. During that time, I felt like the only thing that I could do was throw myself into some sort of goal, set a goal for myself and reach it. But the other thing was I started taking horse lessons at a barn about an hour away from my house. And I didn't grow up with horses. I kind of was around horses here and there when I was younger. One of my dad's friends had some horses, so we would go over there, every so often and ride a little bit. But other than that, I really, didn't grow up around horses. So during this time, after there were several months where after she passed away, I quit my job. I really just couldn't handle life, to be honest. And I didn't know what to do with myself. So I knew that horses and animals were something that I've always loved, and started taking lessons. And that time for me was something that really saved me. Going to that barn, I think I don't know, I probably took 3 or 4 lessons a week. Horses saved my life during that time, for real. And they just helped me through one of the most difficult times that I've experienced in my life. So that really set me on a quest to want to work with them more. And during all of this, kind of after my mom passed away, or about, 4 or 5 months after that, I really started kind of getting into a more holistic way of living. I ended up taking going to school for, or taking a certification, for integrative nutrition. So becoming a holistic health coach. And during this time, I was also working for a marketing and events firm just to pay the bills and whatnot, taking lessons. And I also did an internship at a Liberty Barn. So I worked under a trainer for a little while doing that, and then realized, okay, I can't keep doing this for free. I need to get another job. And like I said, during that time, really started diving into all of the holistic health side of things, all natural solutions and non-toxic products, and really learning more about where our food comes from and how our food system here in the US really doesn't support our health. So that kind of led me on a quest a little bit to learn more about agriculture and learn more about where our food is actually coming from, and being more interested in farmers and more interested in the organic way of living, the organic lifestyle, buying organic products, things like that. And I'll probably do another episode, getting into kind of the food system stuff too, because organic, unfortunately, doesn't necessarily mean organic anymore, in the US. So anyway, kind of back to my timeline. I was doing all of this, and then I actually got an opportunity to work for a professional golf association. So I ended up moving to Kansas City, and I worked for a professional golf association there. Still took riding lessons in my time off, but my family, my dad and my brother really love golf, and my brother golfed in college, and they are just really, really big golfers. And I picked it up after college a little bit too and really enjoyed it. So I said, you know what? It might get me out of the office for a little bit. I really like golf. I will get to be outside a lot with putting on these tournaments. So why not? And I worked for one professional golf association for about 1.5 years while I was living in Kansas City. And that was an awesome experience. I really loved Kansas City. And then I ended up getting another opportunity for another professional golf association. So I moved back to the Northeast, and then just realized kind of after that, you know what, I really want to dive into horses. And that's where I ended up taking that internship with the Liberty trainer. And then kind of realized I need to make some money. So I did end up taking another job for another marketing and events, and worked with them for a couple of years. Then worked for a financial investment firm doing a little bit of marketing and communications stuff for them. And then the pandemic hit. And during that time, when, as everybody knows, the world kind of stopped, and I knew that the calling on my heart was to be in horses and animals in some sort of ranching. And I ended up finding a program here in Montana where I learned to train wild horses, wild Mustangs, and gentle them, and then get them trained to adopt out to good homes. So I have been out in Montana now for almost 2 years, and it's been an incredible experience. I absolutely love Montana, and I had visited Montana a few years back before I moved out here, and I also lived in Colorado for a little while. And when I lived in Colorado, it really solidified how much I loved the West, and I was looking to move out to Montana before I moved to Colorado, and then I ended up in Colorado, but always loved it out here, and I see myself here for quite some time. So anyway, I was working remotely at the time when I saw that there was this Wild Mustang program, and said, you know what, I reached out to the program director, and ended up moving about a month later. And it's been an amazing journey ever since. I have met some incredible people. I have learned so much. And I met my partner, my boyfriend out here, who's taught me so much too. He actually grew up on a cattle ranch and he grew up farming. So he knows a lot. He's been doing this for a really long time. And he got an opportunity to work for the farm that we're at now. And, he manages their beef operation here in town. And I have been by his side learning everything I can possibly soak up there. And what's cool about the farm is that it's a regenerative farm and they don't use any synthetics or pesticides on their fields. They produce their own organic compost, and I'll kind of talk a little bit more about the ranch in another episode, but we have about 120 head of cattle. And I have since realized how much I absolutely love cows. So I'll never forget the first day, he took the job, and then about a week later, I went out there with him, and I'll never forget when he took me out on the 4-wheeler to kind of show me around and show me the cows. And I remember being out there, and during this time, him and I were going through a lot of transition. There was a lot of moving parts. We were in the middle of moving. There was a lot of, stressful things happening. He was starting a new job. I was starting a new job. And there was just a lot of kind of personal stuff going on for both of us. And it was just completely stressful. But during that time, I remember, there were things around us that didn't seem to be working out, that things weren't going through, or not going through. Things just weren't working out the way that I hoped. And it seemed like a lot of negativity was kind of going on around us, or, there weren't really like some good opportunities. And then this opportunity for this job presented itself to him. And that's when I kind of realized that God always has his hand in everything. And when it seems like he's closing a lot of doors, it really is, because, and as hard as it can feel at times, when we feel like nothing is going right around us and things are falling apart, but they're really falling apart because he's setting us up for something so much better. And for me, this chance to be at this ranch has opened up my eyes to something that I always kind of thought in my deep, deep soul that I would want to do something like this, but I never realized how much it has set my heart on fire. So anyway, I'll just never forget when he took me out in the 4-wheeler to show me around and show me the cows. I remember him driving and just sitting in the back right behind him and looking around in the beautiful hills, the beautiful mountains. It was in March, so it was still a little cold. I think there was a little bit of snow on the ground, and just looking at the herd of cows. And before we even got into the pasture, I just thought to myself, like, this is God's work and this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And it really, really hit me, and how much that moment meant. And I know that so many of us can, I've heard people talk about, they had this life-changing moment, and it wasn't necessarily a life-changing moment. It just solidified everything that I already knew inside my heart that I was too afraid to act on in some ways. I am somebody who, even starting this podcast, my best friend in the entire world has been on me for a couple of years now, actually, because I've said I've wanted to start a podcast for a few years, and I've always talked myself out of it. And over the last month, she has been on my butt about putting up this podcast. And even though I'm going to ramble, even though I might not make sense, I'm doing it anyway. And I have her to thank for just really helping me out through getting over that hurdle and getting out of my own way. So I've always just been somebody that has been, not confident in some ways and not confident with putting myself out there when it comes to putting my own personal journey out there or talking about myself. I always think that I need to go to another training or need to take another self-development course or need to set myself up so perfectly before I can actually do the thing. And this moment and these last few months have made me realize that there's no more waiting. I cannot wait anymore because the time is going to pass, and I have finally found something that I am so passionate about and so intrigued by and want to be such an advocate for, in terms of agriculture and farming and ranching, that I'm here and I'm doing it. And one of the things that really stopped me before was, I didn't grow up doing this, because it always felt like, well, you didn't grow up doing it, so you really can't do it. I didn't grow up on a farm. I didn't grow up in a family ranch. So, what can I possibly bring to the table? But I'm learning that I can bring a lot to the table. And I think having those new perspectives, and my hope is just to share my journey with you all and let you all kind of in on the daily life that I'm leading, and telling you all about what I'm doing here. And I just went through my first calving season. So we had about 60 calves, and I castrated calves. I've ear tagged. I've given medications. And I recently had to wrestle and chase down a 130-pound calf, which was probably one of the hardest things I've ever done and the most tiring. It took me about 45 minutes because he was out in the field and the hillsides, and those little guys are so stinking cute, but they are quick and they are strong. And when they want to get away, they can get away. So anyway, I've just been learning so much. My boyfriend had bought me a small calf, who unfortunately passed away, which I will talk a little bit more about that. She was what they call a free martin, and I'm going to do a whole episode on that because of everything I learned there. There have been a few calves that have died, and that was an experience that I had to go through, and just learning how to be around cows and learning everything about them. Anything from how to take care of them to, how they see, what they act like, their emotions, how to be safe around them. All the things, and pregnancy check to rotational grazing, and how to try to transplant a calf to another mom, or when to step in on a mom having a hard time with a calf or not. So there's just been so much that I've learned, and so much that I have that I hesitate to say that I never thought that I would be doing, but I never thought that I would love it so much. And cows are just incredible. And what makes me so passionate about this is there's a lot of misinformation out there with so many things, but with the agriculture industry in general, and meat in general is getting a lot of hate right now. In terms of climate change, and that cows are contributing to climate change, which isn't very true, to be honest. And I will do another episode on that because this is more of just an intro of stuff I'm going to be talking about. But I am just really interested in educating people and just sharing what I've learned and how I've come around to this lifestyle. And I used to be vegan. I went vegan for about like a year, and then I went vegetarian for a while because I kind of fell into that trap that meat was bad for you. And it's not. It's actually really good for you. I ended up developing a lot of digestive issues from being vegan, and I was pretty healthy vegan, but since I started eating meat and including dairy in my diet again over the last 2-3 years, my digestive issues went away, and I still have some issues going on with hormones and things like that, but all of that has gotten better since I've added meat and dairy back into my diet again, and I feel great when I eat that. So yeah, I just am really, really passionate about this topic, and I cannot wait to have some awesome guests on here for you guys to hear about. There's going to be a few guests that run some big beef operations. I am excited to get some people on here who are really into soil health and regenerative agriculture and sustainable agriculture, and just talk about a whole lot of things. So that's kind of what I wanted to cover. And right now we are just finished up calving season. It's been really great. We've just moved some cows over to a new pasture today. We took a trailer load of 20 of them, and the ranch is using what they call virtual fencing system for these cows. So it's really kind of neat. They wear what looks like a cowbell collar, and you can actually set fences using this virtual fencing system right through your phone and right on your app, which is really cool. So the ranch is using 2 different systems right now and kind of comparing the 2. So that's been really, really neat. I'm currently bottle feeding a baby. He is he's probably about a month and a half now. Currently has some scours because we had to put him on milk replacer. Of course, his mom, unfortunately, wasn't producing enough milk, and she had to be sent to processing. So I've been bottle feeding him, and he's got some scours. So we are doing a protocol per the vet from giving him the scour pills and then doing calf replacer one day and electrolytes the next day and switching off. So I'm on the third, it will be the 3rd day tomorrow that I have to give him the pill, and hopefully it starts to clear up a little bit. He looked a little bit better today, and what's really important with scouring calves is, so scours, for those of you who aren't aware, is more of like diarrhea, and it can get really serious if the calf is dehydrated. So what is the most important is making sure the calf is hydrated. So that's why we incorporate the electrolytes and making sure that he has enough water. So today he was pretty hungry, but we gave him those electrolytes and he seemed to be doing pretty good. He actually drank like just half a bottle of regular water too, which was cool. So he seemed to be pretty good, but tomorrow I'll give him milk replacer for his 2 morning feedings and 2 evening feedings. So he'll be pretty happy with me tomorrow, but he's doing really good. And yeah, so I think probably what I'll do is, every episode kind of give you guys a little bit of an update just on what's going on around the ranch and then get into the topic. But yeah, I am just really excited to start this. It's kind of taken a long time for me to muster up the courage to put myself on here, but I am just really looking forward to creating this community and really offering a space where people can learn and where I can learn from you guys and just meet some really cool people. So anyway, thank you so much for listening. I'm really excited to be here with everyone, and yeah, have a wonderful evening.